3, 2, 1, and we are live. Alrighty. How you doing, friends? Ernie here with the 0 Days to Expiration podcast, episode number 81. Oh, so we got a big fail. We got a big fail here. That was a big fail. Podcast, episode number. Yeah, there we go. That was a big fail. So we got to start all over again. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Ernie here. Just kidding. Today is Monday, and we had a big gap down day today because of nuclear threats by the Putin. It's kind of interesting. The overnight market saw prices drop several hundred points and then rebounded out of nowhere. Who was rebounding? Where was that price coming? Where was that action coming from? But apparently we filled the gap, and everything looks cool now. Looks like the war is over. Not. Anyways, we put on a trade this morning, figuring that this grinding or this rebound or whatever this is, the plunge protection team would come to the rescue and push the market up a bit, and we took nice profits. It was great. But a lot of people were asking, where do you take profit with this 0 days to expiration strategy? How do you figure that out? Do you go for out of the money, in the money, at the money? Where do you start? Where do you end? Where do you begin? It's all so confusing, but it's really not that confusing. See, the thing is, most people, when they're trading options or putting on an option strategy, they're all thinking, and even all the books and all the courses that you read, everything is always in terms of what happens at the end of the options contract. You look at the P&L diagram. The P&L diagram is showing you exactly what it will look like at the end of the contract or after expiration. But that's really not what's important, because that doesn't tell you where you're going to profit. Unless you expect to hold the contract all the way through to expiration. But most people don't do that. And we certainly don't do that. We don't even want to do that. So why would you be looking at the P&L diagram? The P&L at expiration. Yeah, it's in the name. 0 days to expiration. But what's really important is the time from when we start and that time between then and expiration. There's a spectrum of things that can happen in that time. We get up in the morning, we do our analysis, we figure out where price is, where the energies are, is there economic reports coming in, is Putin declaring nuclear war, things like that. And from there, we determine which way the market's going. And then once we've done that, we look at the market structure, we develop an idea or scenarios of where we think the potential for market to go. And then we model that with an options trade, typically a butterfly. Now that butterfly looks kind of like a pyramid, right? It's got a nice pointy top and some wings on it. And that shows us where its value will be at expiration. But we know that we're not going to hold until expiration, particularly if we're trading the futures, because we don't want to get assigned a big futures contract or multiple futures contracts. We just want to get in and get out. We don't want to spend too much time doing all this stuff, because the more time you spend in a market, the more risk there is. And a good, illustration of that right now. A good illustration. That was the wife, by the way. I had to hang up on her. A good illustration of that right now is that the market is now dropping. Why? Is there some more news coming out of Ukraine? I don't know. But the point is that you don't want to spend too much time in your options contract. Now, I understand that a butterfly, it benefits both from being vega negative and theta positive. Now, what does that mean in real words, in layman's terms? Vega negative means that it benefits when, well, vega stands for volatility, and negative means going down. So it benefits when volatility is going down. What does theta positive mean? Well, a lot of people associate theta with the time premium and, premium collection. That if theta is $1, then I make $1 every day that I have my options contract down. Theta positive basically means that time is on your side. So long as you stay right in the middle of that strategy, then theta is going to work with you because time is on your side. But time really isn't on your side because price does not stand still. So here we have a number of moving things that are competing with our ability to make profit. We have volatility that's going up and down based on what's happening in the news. Uncertainty, certainty, uncertainty, certainty, uncertainty, certainty. So uncertainty, obviously the market goes down. Certainty, the market goes up, or perceived certainty. At the same time, price is going up and down. Time is ticking away. And all of this is affecting where we are on the profit curve. That's about the only thing that we have any kind of certainty around is what the profit curve will look like at expiration and where it is now. And so there's a kind of a direct line that you can draw. Well, it's not really a direct line. It's a curve that is kind of dome-shaped when we first get in, kind of flat. And we're sitting on that dome, and we're trying to walk across that dome. While we're walking across that dome, time is ticking away, and that dome is slowly building until finally it fills up the butterfly shape or whatever the shape is of your options strategy. But it's not as simple as that. If volatility starts dropping or going up, the shape of that dome will start either dropping or going up along with it. That premium and its building until expiration is all over the place. In the beginning, it could be suppressed until the very, very last few minutes of the market or the last half hour. And then all of a sudden it will fill everything up. I mean, those are days when we have something what we call a liquidity trap, where there seems to be something in the market or something not in the market, namely counterparties to be able to take our trade, and we can't get out. And so the profit curve is suppressed. So everything that we do is about what happens with that profit curve in the time that we choose to be in the market. Now, of course, we'd like to be in the market in as little time as possible and extract as much money as we possibly can. So does it really matter whether we're talking about in the money, out of the money, at the money? Yes and no, mostly no. Obviously, if we're at the money, in other words, we're right in the middle of a butterfly and smack dab in the middle of an iron condor, right there. And then as time progresses, and if we just stay there, if we're just totally pegged right there and price does not move, then time will definitely be on our side and we'll make money the longer we stay there. We know that that is a pipe dream. It doesn't happen. It never happens. The market is always moving. So the idea of using a market neutral strategy and expecting you to stay right there is really a poor idea. However, one of the advantages of using something like a butterfly is that it has a lot of potential. It has a lot of profit potential from the top of its very peak to the bottom of its wings. And if we can move that butterfly when we start a little bit out of the money, then it rises even higher up and gives us an even better risk to reward. Risk to reward is what it's all about. We want to have the biggest risk to reward that we can. In other words, very tiny little risk, very large potential reward in a short amount of time. So what that means is that when we have that kind of potential, then there's going to be the growth of of the profit curve in that short amount of time from where we start to where it ends. And we want to ride that curve and stay on its most rising spot, or its most bulbous, or its most growth intensive spot for as long as we can, or as long as, makes sense. Now, this is an awesome way to trade, because if you can put on the trade in such a way that your risk in the beginning is very small, then you don't exact a very heavy cost for sitting there and riding that curve. You just want to stay on that curve as long as you can, and when you feel like you've gotten enough out of it, you jump off the curve. If you feel like there is a really good chance that you could stay inside of the profit tent of the strategy, then you'll stay on a little bit longer. But if you're in an environment like today, where Russia could be threatening nuclear war at any time, then, man, you want to be in and out. In and out. The old in-out. That's what we want. We want to be in and out as fast as we can. In general, that's what we want. We want to put ourselves in a position where we can get in, have that profit curve move up as fast as it can, and then get off that puppy and collect or realize our gains. That is the name of the game. Is there a way to calculate all that? The answer is yes, but there is no one way. There's about 1,000 ways. And it really comes down to the intense number of variations in the market and being in tune with it and placing yourself in the right position, getting in at the right time, getting out at the right time. These are not, well, overall, it's a very complex world, but we can simplify it by doing very, very consistent things in similar ways every day, choosing environments that make the most sense for us, choosing a risk to reward that gives us the best opportunity to trade, choosing markets that are on the falling edge of volatility instead of the rising edge of volatility. That helps as well. Again, because we're vega negative and theta positive, those things work in our favor. So that is how you profit with zero DTE. You have to choose your spot, figure out how you can extract the most profit. That means getting in at the right time and the right place, and then get out as quickly as you can with an acceptable return. Now, fortunately, we have found that when you create a trade that has fantastic risk to reward, small risk, large reward, the potential for making profit is much greater. And the bigger that we can make that, the better. Now, of course, there's some limits. If you put the strategy too far out of the money, then the chances of price moving towards the center part of that butterfly are smaller, and therefore your growth prospects of the profit curve are smaller. So there's some give and take. There's some adjustment. There's some sacrifice that you have to make. So the way we start off really is that we say, okay, we're going to do all of our analysis in the morning, figure out what the market structure is, figure out what energies are in the market, where is price coming from. In this case, there wasn't much happening in the market in terms of economic reports or anything like that, but there was the Putin nuclear scare. And the market did drop in the Globex market, the overnight market, over the weekend. And it was moving up in what looked like program trading, possibly the plunge protection team, moving everything up and trying to recover us so that we don't have to limit down. All wonderful things. So we have to decide, well, okay, price is moving up, therefore volatility is moving down. That's good. Volatility moving down means that we're potentially going into a vega negative situation. In other words, that's in our favor because butterflies, as I said earlier, they benefit when volatility goes down. They're vega negative. That's what that means. Now, we don't have too much time. We have from the start of the market, maybe after economic reports come out, 8:30 in the morning, until the afternoon. Market closes at 4. We don't want to be in there around 4 o'clock because we know that when you start getting to 4 o'clock and that profit curve starts filling up the butterfly and prices starts going all over the place because volatility picks up at the end of the day, we know that our gamma risk, what is gamma risk? Oh, there's another Greek term that Ernie's throwing at us. The gamma risk is the shape of that profit curve. When it gets really, really steep and the shape of the top of that curve starts turning into a bell, and that bell starts getting really narrow. Imagine yourself trying to stand on top of that bell, that curved part of the top of the bell. And when it's very wide, like a very wide dome, it's kind of easy to stand on top of there. But as it narrows and gets more tippy-toppy, it becomes very difficult. And you know that as you move to one side or the other of that bell, falling off the edge becomes more and more of a risk as it gets skinnier and skinnier. That's what happens with the profit curve as it is approaching the very final moments of expiration. That is called gamma risk. The gamma risk is increasing because the slope of the bell sides is increasing, making it very difficult for you to maintain your balance or stay on top of that bell, particularly if price is moving back and forth, shoving you off the side of the bell. So that's another thing that we have to contend with. So all this stuff comes together. We start out with a very stable platform, and we end up with a very unstable potential platform. So we need to figure out, well, where is the point where we're going to get in and out? We want to get in early and get out relatively early. And that usually works out on average to 2 or 3 hours in the market. We could be in as little as an hour if we had an extraordinary market and we already had a bulbous profit curve, and that happens every once in a while. But today we started out with a relatively flat one, and because price was moving up fairly rapidly at a steady clip, that flat curve started to rise very nicely, and we were able to extract 100, 150, 200% profit. And then we get out. That's good enough for us. But we're in an environment we know that things could change on a dime, in a snap. So we're not going to hang out and hope for a pin trade because the environment is not conducive to that. Now, if this were any other time and Putin wasn't threatening nuclear catastrophe, then we might hang out for a little while. But we know that any little thing could send this market reeling. So that's how you profit with 0 days to expiration. It's kind of exciting, but we take all the risk out of it, first of all, so we can go along with the ride. And because there's very little risk involved and huge potential profit, we're not ridden with anxiety. We can take and make our decisions with complete clarity and calmness. Zero anxiety trading. And that's what it's like trading 0 DTE, or 0 days to expiration. You need that dash, by the way. It's very important, particularly if you want to take a try or the trial for our service. So that's 0-dte.com/try, TRY. You get a 4-week trial. You get to experience what we teach here. You'll be under the tutelage of a coach and a mentor. You'll have 500 other traders by your side talking about the markets, talking about the trades, sharing their experiences. We'll do analysis in the morning, execute a trade early on, wait for it to come into profit, get out, it'll feel good. You'll learn a tremendous amount in that 4 weeks. And if you choose to become a full-time member, we will rebate the cost of that trial towards your membership. If you don't, the worst that's going to happen is that you're going to have the best 4-week course on 0 DTE trading that you've ever taken or ever will take, in my opinion. And it is a humble opinion. All right. Do we have comments today? Let's see. Do we have comments? I have not even checked that. Nope, no comments today. All right. So that's all. That's all I've got to say for today. It looks like it's going to be a tenuous closing to the market. I see the market dropped this past while we were on air here, dropped about 30, 40 points. Possibly something happened on the news that I haven't seen. We'll check that out. But in any event, I want to thank you very much for showing up. Peace to you all, and we'll see you on the next 0 days to expiration event, which will be Wednesday and then Friday. See, I like that cadence that we have, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Someone asked me today, well, what do you do on Tuesdays and Thursdays? And I said, well, we rest and reflect. And then we get ready for the next 0 DTE day. Again, thank you very much for showing up. Peace, and peace to the world. No nukes, please. And we'll see you next 0 DTE. Thank you. All right. Gotta find that off button. Where is it? I moved all these windows around.